Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Renetta Bourgeois, who's a caseworker with Odyssey House. And if you're wondering, where is Odyssey House? What is Odyssey House? We'll tell you all about it. You may know it as formerly Fairview Treatment Center in Bayou Vista. And I want to get right into it. Renetta, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. And the smiling face that you see, you'll probably see it as you go through the doors of Odyssey House. We're talking a little bit about the intake process and just everything from top to bottom for individuals who are seeking inpatient treatment, substance abuse treatment. We'll get to that soon, but I want to know a little bit about Renetta. So Renetta, how many years of experience do you come with, and in what regard, in what positions?
Okay. With Fairview Treatment Center, I was a psychiatric aide. That's what we were called back then with Fairview Treatment Center. I did that for 5 years, moving into Odyssey House. A little bit before we moved into transition into Odyssey House, I became case manager. Okay. It was very challenging, but I liked it. I liked it. I liked the people. I liked the clients. You know, they're all different walks. Mm-hmm. So I've been there with the establishment 7 years now. Awesome. So yeah, five as something else, 2 as something different. So yeah.
And 7 has a very unique feeling to it, 7 years.
Yes.
And on this show, I tell people, you know, the Voice of the Coast, I keep it real. We want the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. And even for you, being there for 7 years and during your time period, you've had to evolve as a person as well as an employee. Tell me more about that.
Mentally change, you know, coming through the doors. I felt like an addict, it was their choice. I felt like it was their choice. I was angry. Yeah. You know, coming from having someone in my family dealing and, you know, suffering with an addiction, I just felt like it could change overnight, like a light switch. Yeah. But I realized going through the years, listening to stories, listening to the parallels and the pain that some of these people went through, I question my, you know, family member now, what happened? Yeah. So it's like I know something had to happen. You know, either something happened to cause the drug addiction, or the addiction started and now you're trying to mask something else. Okay. So I know now that it's not their fault. They're people. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to. They shouldn't be shunned or treated differently. Okay. You know, and we've cried over people, and we not wanted people to leave. You know, kind of become mama hens and such. So yeah, it is. It's a mental shift and a behavioral shift, even for me. Yeah. You know.
Well, that also has to make it easier to connect.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. And trust is an issue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they've come from a place where they may not have trusted people, even someone as close to them as a mother or a grandmother, you know, may have hurt them, and that just damaged, you know, it marred them, you know, so to speak.
I'd like to think that maybe this is just not just about fixing a substance issues. Also, it's a therapy.
Yes.
It's a mental shift.
Yes.
It's all of that wrapped in one. So you have a huge responsibility.
You know, to have a young woman come through our doors that has never had someone tell them, you're beautiful, or you have a bright, shiny face, and they're like, well, thank you, you know. It's something. It's something.
I like the fact that you said that we don't want them to go, but you want them to go out and flourish and be better. But what does that say about your success rate?
It's great. You know, our completion rate is really good. And I'm thinking it's because we treat our clients like not completely family, because there are boundaries that we have to adhere to and code of ethics. But it's almost like a Nanny McPhee moment where you don't want me when you need me, but when you don't need me is when you want me. Okay. You know, and always remember that from that movie. You know, it's like when you need us, you're fighting us every step of the way. But then when you're good and you don't need us anymore, you want to keep us. You know, we want to keep staying and stuff. And it's like, we got to let you go now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on out and be free.
Yeah.
That's great. We'll talk a little bit more about, from again, top to bottom, how it all works out. I mean, this is an
Sure.
inpatient, and
Absolutely.
it can be as long as a month long,
Right.
to be able to change some of those behaviors and mental shifts, and and even, I guess, working on the heart. So I definitely want to talk more about that. But I want to take a short break. But before we
Okay.
go, tell us your location and contact information.
We are at 1101 Southeast Boulevard in Bayou Vista, Louisiana. The number is 985-395-6750.
One more time.
Yep, 985-395-6750, 1101 Southeast Boulevard, Bayou Vista.
Awesome. I definitely want to talk about that. And you said something early on about walks of life. And I definitely want to talk about that when we come back, because I can tell you some folks think that, addiction only affects one sector of the
Yeah.
population. This is maybe a poor man's situation. So we'll talk more about that when we come back. Come on back
Okay.
right here on The Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I am your host, Danica Foley Long. With me, we have Renetta Bourgeois, who's a case manager with Odyssey House, formerly Fairview Treatment Center. It is formerly Fairview Treatment.
Yes.
It's been almost a year since
Yes.
that transition has happened. What's the difference between the two?
The difference, I would say, is our outreach. For one, we're getting out there, letting people know that we are here to help those who are in need of our treatment for substance use disorders or any co-occurring behavioral health matters as well. Being with Fairview, we were just there, so it was more word of mouth. Oh, there's Fairview. We were last on the list for treatment.
Gotcha.
If you didn't want to go out of town, well, we'll just go to Fairview.
Gotcha. And also, I think it was maybe known as, this is a drug court mandate.
Right.
That's what I always associated it with.
Right. And we do have clients who are mandated to come into treatment for 28 days. But we work hand in hand with the court system as well as the judges and all to get clients in who are mandated. But we'd like referrals from hospitals and such. And we're finding now, under Odyssey, we are having quite a few referrals. And with the help of our delightful engagement specialist, Ms. Stefana Kurt, the clients come in and they're greeted. They're greeted like a person. She takes them in, they trust her, she gets the information that she needs, and it works. It's a great system that we have.
Yeah. So, I mean, from top to bottom, I mean, this has to be a team effort.
Absolutely.
And what about for walk-ins? I mean, if, I want to address something that I talked about before, before we went to break. This is not this doesn't affect one sector of the population.
Right.
Anybody. There are a lot of folks who are functioning alcoholics,
Right.
functioning drug addicts.
Right.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. They have great jobs.
Yes.
They're nurses, they're doctors, they're lawyers. Yeah.
Yeah.
All walks of life. They're not just the homeless person you see sleeping under the bridge.
Yeah.
That person may not have an issue. They just don't have a home.
That's right.
But there are people who have homes, who have everything that they need in their life, but there is something missing, which causes the substance use disorder. And they come to us, but we don't treat any one of them any differently.
Yeah.
The homeless will come in. We're not going to tell the person who has a mansion, yeah, they're homeless. Look at them.
Yeah.
No, we treat everyone, the same.
And this is anonymous, is
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely anonymous. Yeah.
So you said the intake process starts off with Ms. Steph, and tell us a little bit about Ms. Steph, because you were kind of remarking about her, and you're smiling now.
Yes.
And I think you said that her reputation precedes her, especially with the clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. Miss Steph is like, she starts not like the best friend, because of course, there's boundaries, but they know if I say, we're going to talk to Miss Steph about this, they know, okay, yeah, let me get myself straight. They trust her. It's that thing, like they walk through the door, they meet Miss Steph, they will call on the phone and I answer, case manager, is Miss Steph there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they give her kudos, I'll tell you that much. And anyone that comes back, they will call and they will say, "Is Miss Steph still there? I want to talk to her."
Gotcha.
You know.
So what type of substances do you treat? I mean,
Wow. Whew.
you said I think you test for how many?
We test for at least 16 different substances.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it that you hear from folks? I mean, because again, you know, you might have the folks that says, you know, I just do a little something, you know, it's not a big deal.
Right. They do a little something, and we test, and they find out it's more than what they bargained for. So yeah, they'll come in saying they're doing this one substance, but then this big one, the big F, fentanyl. Yeah, that's a bad boy. So yeah.
Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it when we come back from break, because that seems to be on the uprise in our parishes, our local tri-parish area. We definitely want to talk about it. And I also want to know, how far do you reach? How far do you receive clients? And we'll talk about that when we come back right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I am your host, Danica Foley Long. With me, we have Ms. Renetta Bourgeois, who's the case manager with Odyssey House, formerly Fairview Treatment Center. You mentioned the big F, that's right,
yes.
fentanyl. So that is a big to-do. We're seeing a lot of that. I've had a lot of our law enforcement agents have come here, like our police chiefs, they've been here. Like, let's talk about that. Like, you know,
yeah, it's sad it's sad when someone comes into our inpatient and intake and tell us, "Oh, I've just done heroin," and then
heroin,
right? Just heroin, and we test them, and they're just positive for fentanyl. Right. You know, meaning you've really not. You know, it's bad all around, but yeah, you know, that's like Russian roulette. You know,
and that's what's taking
your
folks
life
out.
is on the your life is on the line. You know,
at least they can live another day, because you know how many people that have not, that they just tried it, they just, you know,
just touched it.
That's right.
Yeah, there are people who just
deadly.
touched it and had to be hospitalized. You know, you mentioned police and law enforcement have touched that substance, and you know, they had to go to an ER. You know.
So it's not about just, oh, I just want to try something.
Right.
I just want to experience it one time. One time can land you in the morgue.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And for, you know, I know for you, you said you had to evolve yourself, but how is it having to change the mindset of addicts, and that not just drug addicts, you have alcoholics, right?
Right. And you know, it's funny because we'll hear the person who's addicted to these other substances say, "Well, I just drink alcohol." Well, that's a drug too. You know, they gotta know. And that has to be a mindset as well. You know, you have to know that one thing
is not better than the other.
Can set you back, yes.
Right. And, you know, I hear what you're saying, because someone say, well, I mean, I'm not...
I don't smoke weed, I just drink a little.
Yeah, I don't do heroin.
But
Right. Okay.
And you know, we don't want to...
we're in South Louisiana. That's like every Friday.
Yes.
But then...
Festival City.
Yeah. So, but what about, and this I want to talk about, there was a show, I think, and I don't want to call the station because I may be wrong, but Intervention, right? I don't know what network was on, but Intervention. Do you hold interventions there? I mean, are there counselors? Can the family get involved? I mean, that's a real thing, that happens.
Yeah, and I think if a client would ask a counselor, they would be more than happy to accommodate, to have, you know, family members come in. Because, you know, it's not just that person, it is the family.
Yeah.
You know, the family hurts, the family's scared. You know, it's a scary thing to have, you know, a family member who's suffering with an addiction. It is.
No one wants to plan a funeral. Right?
No.
That's very hard, especially when an individual is so far gone that you don't know what could happen, you know, tomorrow. Right. And you mentioned the personal testimony, and I'm sure being in this line of work, it helps to be able to relate and to connect with your clients.
Yeah, it does. You know, just listening and talking, you know, but yeah. It does help.
So now that Odyssey House is here, you said that one thing that you guys do that wasn't quite done before is that you do more outreach. How
Absolutely.
are you finding the outreach? I mean, are you finding more clients through that?
We
Or
are.
is it,
Yes,
okay.
we are. It you know, it helps knowing that the other person is looking for us, and then you just show up. So like if I show up at a facility to do outreach, you know, bring brochures, bring flyers, they're like, well, we didn't know this was right here. I had a lady that I spoke with at Terrebonne General, and she didn't know that we were just right down the road. She was like, so you're in New Orleans, right? I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm 45 minutes away from you in Bayou Vista, Louisiana. And she's like, oh my gosh, really? So yeah, that's helpful too, that we're right there.
Give us that
Yeah.
location and
So
contact again.
We're at 1101 Southeast Boulevard, Bayou Vista, Louisiana, 985-395-6750.
Awesome. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the 28-day or 29-day process and take
Absolutely.
us through that. So come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast. All right, welcome back. And this is the part of the show where it's going to get probably a little wild because I definitely I want a real life look into what it is to be in this facility. Because we're having a great talk. This is
Yes.
good. We're hearing about the staff. We're hearing about just how welcoming you are. But I want to know, as an individual who is now a client, how do I
Right.
get myself together? I've only seen movies about, you know, people going through
Right.
withdrawals, and you know, it's not pretty.
No, it's
But
not.
I would say it's necessary.
Right, it is. We have what's called MAT, that stands for Medically Assisted Treatment Therapy, for a person who is in detox. And that's someone who is in severe withdrawals. So it can range from anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on the necessity and the usage of that person. They will go through detox. If they want to stay with us, we transition them into a 28-day, which is our inpatient. And our 28-day inpatients is when you learn some tools, you start getting tools to remain sober, to remain within your recovery. You'll go to lectures, you'll have counseling sessions with your group. So they have male and female groups, and they have male and female counselors, great counselors there. They'll have groups. So they call each other out on their stuff, so to speak, within the group. Everything is kept within. Like you said, it's anonymous. So what's in there, said in there, stays in there. They're 28-day inpatient. Of course, I mentioned lectures. So in our lectures, we'll have other people come from other facilities to let them know that there are aftercare, you know, placements for them. Even if it's in another city, which we try to get them away from the city that they use in. We try to get them as far away without having them lose the support of their families or, you know, people that they love and such, for our clients who have jobs.
Yes, let's talk about that, because
Yes.
I mean, you're 28 days, that's
Right.
a month of work.
They'll come in, and for the most part, some of them, the bosses are really, really good. You know, they'll hold their jobs for them. You know, if they're a good worker in their job, their boss says, hey, go get help. You need help. We're going to be here for you. We're going to continue to support you through this, and we'll be waiting for you to come back in.
How about teenagers or young adults?
So we take anyone from 18 or older,
Gotcha. Okay.
and those can be challenging because, you know, some of them aren't as mature as others. You know, sometimes we'll get a 20-year-old who's like got a 30-year-old mindset, and we're like, gosh, did you have to grow up really fast? Sometimes challenging, you know, because they're still stuck at home and they're not ready. And I think the biggest thing is for them to say, even midway through treatment, say, I don't think I'm ready yet.
Oh, okay.
And we don't hold them, you know, we don't judge that.
Yeah.
Because they know. But we know this, that when they're ready, they'll come back. And we let them know, well, when you are, we're here.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to be a support system too, in a way.
I think the scary thing is, you know, sending them back out there and you not know that,
Right.
you know, as they say anyway, you know, tomorrow's not promised, but
Right.
that behavior can't be very promising.
And I think the one thing that sets us at ease is knowing that they have a support system, you know, someone who says, I'm going to call my nanny, my godmother, my godfather, or my mom to come and get me. And we'll know you know, they have a support system. So we don't feel too bad about those.
Let's talk about insurances, because I mean, I just want to know
Yes.
really quickly, we don't have much time.
Right, we do accept Medicaid and self-pay. So yeah, so that's not a problem. Even if you come in and you don't have Medicaid, we have a great engagement specialist who will, you know, run a Medicaid application for you. And if you're approved, you can stay with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And lastly, give us the locations and the time. I mean,
Yes.
the contact information.
We're Odyssey House at 1101 Southeast Boulevard, Bayou Vista, Louisiana, 985-395-6750.
Thank you very much, Renetta.
You're
Thank you for joining
welcome.
us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.